Good morning, everybody. I'm Vincent Meza. This is Listings to Leads, and it's Monday, and it's time to talk about how to get listings with our platform. I have actually something new I'm going to share with you. I asked at the beginning of the call how long everybody's been with us, and I appreciate that answer. But often I say the same thing, but I actually got something new that was really, pretty exciting regarding how to get more listings. So we'll dive into that first. Okay. But before we go there, in case there's a lot of new people, I just want to give you a high level of what we're doing here. We create tools for realtors, right? And these tools can help you get more buyers and they can help you get more listings. And some of these tools have to do with your listings and other tools have nothing to do with your listing. You can even borrow listings and use those to generate leads too. So if you're trying to develop a farm market and you don't have listings in that market, borrowing listings in that market from a colleague or from your office, and then using the tools that I'm going to show you will definitely help you get more listings. So let's get into the account and talk about it. And feel free, if you have questions, to just throw them in the chat panel whenever you have that question. Don't wait. I rarely take a breath into it. So firstly, when we get into the account, I just want you to know what are the ways to get listings, right? And the ways to get listings are on this page, which is the listings page. We'll go there real quickly. I'll go there and show you the tools that you should be using. But on the listings page, there's definitely, this is where you take your current listings and your sold listings and your pending listings and you get more listings. There are PDF guides. So each of you have 80 PDF guides. You are branded on every page of every one of these. Your color scheme, your theme, your logo is on every page of every one of these. And if you click through here, you're going to realize that there are 40 of these for buyers and 40 of these for sellers. We'll come back and look at some of those. We can even auto post them on social media accounts for you with the social content page. And then we have landing pages, right? The landing pages are one of the obvious ones is, what is your home worth? And so the first one we give you by default is free home value, but you can create your own property valuation plus, which are instant home value pages. And those, you should really have one of those for each farm market. So we'll come back to that in a minute. And lastly, we have this ads page, right? And we have ad software from Facebook, Instagram, and Google built in. So we make running ads incredibly easy. And the nice thing about the Facebook side is we use their software called lead forms. And that software, when somebody responds to a lead, this little window pops up. Do you want that information? Do you want your home? The answer is yes. But their name, email, and phone number are pre-populated in that, right? In that lead. So nobody's typing anything in. And if you're using Facebook, I'm sure you experience this. They kick you out and say, hey, you got to re-log in and we're going to send you a text. So most people have the accurate phone numbers in there. And with our software, those numbers are being pre-populated. Nobody's typing anything in. So one thing I want you to think of, this is the high level here, right? What I want you to think of is you should get listing leads from print tools. You should get them from ads on both Facebook and Google, and you should get them from flyers, e-flyers. So you should have some database. Ideally, you've got some sort of CRM and you've got maybe a few dozen or a few thousand leads in there. We have a lot of tools to engage those leads and turn them into seller leads. Okay. So let's talk about that thing I was mentioning, which is new. And a couple of weeks ago, I did a training for one of our clients, Chris Winstead. If you've been around a while and you've heard this call, I have mentioned Chris for a number of years, and I'm going to show you why. So this is our mastermind group, and hopefully you find yourself getting in there and use the support team. That support team to get you in it if you're not in there yet. It's a private group. It's on Facebook. If you're not in it, you can't find it. It's just, that's how the Facebook thing works. But I'm going to show you something here with Chris Winstead that he posted. Actually, it was a couple of summers ago. And it's interesting, smart guy, because when he came here and he posted, this is that first summer of COVID, and he said, hey, I got 5 listings in 3 months. Now, he was doing something that I've been training our client to do for years, but he was doing it very effectively, right? And so what he was doing was taking one of our tools that I'm going to show you today, and he was mailing it to a group of people who had their homes for more than 5 years. It's a nearby homeowner letter. I'll show it to you in a bit. And so he was mailing it to people in his own neighborhood with equity. And then once he'd get the lead, he'd hit them up every week with property value, with phone calls bombed and letters left in the mail and letters left at the door. So a big thing here, that last statement is basically how he convert. And I'll show you how he got the lead. But I had a meeting with him just a couple of weeks ago, and he said, oh, this is what I'm doing now. He's still doing that. But he says, he has a team account for all of his agents. So his agent, he creates a landing page for each agent and then lets them go out. And I'm going to show you the tool that they use. So this here is a property valuation plus landing page. And I'm going to show it to you. This is how you get an instant home. You drop in your address, and then it says, what's your email address? And when you give us that, then we give you an instant value. We get the person an instant value of their home. We copy you on those numbers and the contact information and the address, so you can reach out and convert. So normally when people see a page like that, this is the default one. You get one like this. Most agents just think, oh, I'm going to go run an ad on this. And they run it on Facebook. And years ago, this would have been incredibly powerful, but Facebook has been sued in the past few years, and targeting is almost worthless when it comes to this particular kind of, and we'll talk about how to make it work, but just default what Facebook can do, this could be a great way to waste your money. So one thing I definitely recommend is that you create a landing page that is not generic, that actually speaks to a particular area, a neighborhood, or a town, a city. I don't recommend going out shooting for counties because the price variation of homes in a county can typically be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So people want to know you specialize locally if you're going to sell their home, right? So when you create a landing page, you can customize all this stuff here, and that's all that. But right here on the top, it says advanced option. And here we have something called print marketing, and there's some cool tools. There's a letter that's very useful. I'll download it and I'll show it to you. So when I mentioned the nearby homeowner letter, this looks almost like the nearby homeowner letter. So when I was talking about Chris mailing a letter, it was a letter associated to a property that had already been sold. Okay. But this letter here is not associated to a property. It's associated to a neighborhood, in this case, Livermore. And so you might not have a property in a neighborhood, but you want listings. So you create the landing page, and then you put some data points of how many homes sold in your town. And if somebody scans that, they're going to land on that landing page, and they're going to become a listing lead, right? So using a letter is great, but he is doing something, Chris is doing something that kind of blew me away. We design a QR code. So when you create the landing page and you put a photograph in there, we design a door hanger, right? Sorry. When you create a landing page, you put the photograph there, this is all pre-designed. And so you can download this. And what Chris does is he sends this to Vistaprint, and he prints off 1,000 per agent, which he said that's like the most cost-effective way. And then he gives it to the agent, and he knows that particular landing page is for that agent. So he'll just, if they have some downtime, he'll say, I'm just going to give them a stack of these and tell them to walk their neighborhood. And because he knows their farm market, so he prints them for that farm market. And then they just go and they don't door knock. They just hang these on the door and just walk the neighborhoods. And he says, by the end of the day, I know who's doing the walking and I know who's not, because I'm getting copied on all the leads. The point is that without even wasting time and trying to door knock and talk to everybody in your farm market, you can hang these and people can just very quickly scan that with their phone, get their free home value, and you're going to be copied on all that information. Okay. So that is under advanced options, and it's under print marketing. There's also the seller letters, or the ad letters. So that can help. But the easy way, because I'm going to definitely show you how to mail this stuff into your neighborhood, but just printing them cheaply and getting them out there is good. Now you can also turn on auto posting. So when you create a landing page, we're just going to auto post it to your socials throughout the year. And that's good too. But really, getting this in front of a lot of people is really the key. All right. So that's the new thing. So since we're talking about landing pages, let's dive a little deeper. What do you do when you need a landing page? You click up here and you click on create landing page. And you'll notice that there are landing pages for FSBOs, which are useful in converting into listing. There are expireds. There are always expireds in your area. And I'm pretty sure there are probably dozens of agents calling them. We have a landing page designed to engage those people. So if you create it and email it to them or mail it to them, you're going to be able to help them with some questions and try to engage those people. You can also do custom buyer landing pages and sold landing pages. And I'm going to go over here. Property Valuation Plus is the landing page that you want for instant home values. And then you just type in the name of your favorite town and whatever your major farm market is. And everybody should do this right away. If you want listings, this is the first thing you should do, is go to landing page, create Property Valuation Plus for your number one farm market. Okay. And then you click create landing page, and that's going to create a generic landing page. Let's look at it. It's going to look like this. And sometimes I see this work, right? I don't see it work all the time. And I don't recommend going out to market with a generic page with a coffee cup and a laptop, because what you're asking people for is what's your address. And you just click in your address, so type it in right? So I type in my address, boop, and people are totally happy to do that. I really hate my keyboard sometimes. Oh, that's right. Sorry, guys. I don't know what that's going on here. So people very easily type in their address, just like I've done. And then they click get value estimate. Okay. And we'll wait for page 2. And page 2, we're trying to get buy-in. So what we do is we show you a map of your home, right? And that's great. Scott must change something here. In this case, it skipped that and it just showed us the deal there. Normally, it's going to ask you your email address before it gives you the actual valuation. Okay. Which is, there's actually let me try that one more time, because this is one here. Let's go to look at this one, and hopefully it won't take forever to type this in. That's a Scott word messing around there, but get value estimate. And if it skips grabbing my email, then I got to send this over to tech. But it should ask you for your email second. Yeah, just like that. And then if they give you their email, and mine's pre-populated, and that's because I've been doing this, but more often than not, you have to type it in and then give an answer. And when they do that and they click view my report, you're going to get an instant value. The person's going to get an instant value. So that's the nature of that page, right? And there's call to actions down here. These blue buttons here are to help you get the person to engage with you, right? To set an appointment or stuff like that. And so you create that. And I don't recommend going out with that generic look. I definitely recommend that you take a moment, you click edit and tools, and you change the background picture. And I'm going to show you something, Summit Writer. So I years ago set up Coldwell Banker in Summit, New Jersey. And whenever I set up an office or a team, I do training. And that manager of that office called me like 30 days later after we rolled them out. And he's, yeah, you know what? We're getting all kinds of leads, and that's great. But our number one home value ad is the one with a picture of the Summit Diner. And I want to stress that upon you, because I know a lot of agents, they like to put like a picture of a house. Sometimes it's even a home that they recently sold. And unless every home looks exactly the same, that doesn't make a huge amount of sense. But if you put something that's a landmark, in this case, a very famous old restaurant, if you can tell, hey, I know that that person knows that place and they know Summit, New Jersey. That's what you're trying to get. You're trying to create trust by just very quickly, like, what am I looking at? This, I don't know what that is. Who are you? But if you're showing me something that's in my area, well, that's going to work. I remember when we set this up, I set this up with a client and we were talking about Livermore. And I said, oh, you have that shopping, you have a discount shopping mall there where all the famous brands. And she's, yeah, but actually we really love the wineries that are here. And I say, oh, what's your number one winery? And she said, Wente. And so we went and found a picture, and this is the Wente winery in the evening. And she, yeah, this is great. And that's something that you want to be local at, right? And we all know this, but when you're out there asking people for their address and contact information, you better get localized. You better know, help people understand that. So anyway, that's how you create the landing page. Now, I want to remind you of something that I said earlier, and that is that when you have any tool, specifically when you're trying to get listing, you want to focus on print, on ads, and on email. Okay. So when I showed you advanced options here, and I mentioned that Chris is using the door hangers, that's what it is, right? It's got that kind of deal. There's also postcards, and I've certainly had clients say, hey, every time we mail 100 of these, we get a listing, one listing, right? And then there's the letter. So that's the print side. Now, there's also, if we have a landing page like that, we can go over to the ad side. Remember I said, hey, you should be thinking of Facebook and Google. So what happens when we create a landing page? And I'm going to show you in just a second. You go over here to the ad software, and if you're familiar with this, you know that you have to create or connect your ad account to our system. And then when you're running an ad, it's going to say sponsored by your business page. And let's just do it here, create Facebook ad. And we're going to do a landing page ad because we want to drive traffic to that Livermore page that we were just looking at. So it's right here. And I'm going to just click create an ad, right? So you'll notice that we're going to get a preview here, and it's going to say sponsored by the best listing. That's us, right? But yours is going to be sponsored by your business page. And you can see that the photograph you put in your landing page is there. And you can customize this text. You do have to type in Livermore and $50 ad for the week. And when you click publish, that's going to run for 7 days. Now, what you have to understand when you're running it out on Facebook, it's that there's a cost per lead. So when I say there's a $50 ad budget, which we can see right there, that is the total amount you can spend, $50, right? But what you also have to think of is the cost per lead. And this kind of ad, usually the cost per lead is about $15. So if you divide 15 into 50, that's going to give you 3 leads. You'll have $5 left over. So that's when you're running a home valuation ad. Now, there's still a little bit of a trick here where this can be not very effective, but this is just the first thing that we just want to get this out. We create a landing page, we get the print tools, and then we run an ad here. And then there's a way to get a flyer. So if we go back here and we click on advanced options, there should be right here, e-flyer. And this flyer, you're going to want to update like the local sale stats for the neighborhood. And it says that affects your home value, get your free home value, right? And then it says, go check out the other stuff. But basically, this letter is to help you get more free home value. So I want to take a time out and say, now we know that we've got e-flyers, we've got print tools, and we've got ads. So how do we make this happen more effectively, or most of it? And this is where we have to talk about where to get the list, right, to target people. And one of the companies that does that is listsource.com, but there's also redx.com, there's remind.com, CoreSource does this. I think there are certainly a few other companies where you can buy a list of homeowners in your farm market. And you definitely want to start this with your first farm market and then put the model together And then as that starts to work for you, go out and build your adjacent market. So you're buying a list. It has to be 1,000 people deep, at least. Okay. It can't be smaller than that. And when you do that, what you're mailing your letters to, right? You're going to mail the nearby homeowner letter to, or you're going to mail maybe the postcard to, right? So you take that mailing list. And now if you bought this list with people with 4 or 5 or 6 years equity in a particular town, you want to be mailing something like this, one of our print letters twice a month. And I can tell you a lot of our clients, like this guy here, Chris, he was mailing that letter twice a month to people who had 5 years equity, right? There's another example, and this is a little more recent, which is Pat. And this was last fall, right? And so she takes the nearby homeowner letter and she mails it out every time she has a property that's just listed. She'll mail 100. And this time the home was sold, so she's mailing another just sold. So she's mailing, I don't know if it's twice a month, it's frequent. And it's every time it's something just listed and every time it's something just sold. Now she does something that I've never seen another client do, and that is she prints on the back. So she prints up 100, then she flips it over and she prints on the back. Then she trifolds it and hand writes these things. Why in the world would somebody do that? That's a lot of time. Because I'm going to show you how you can get 100 of these out in 5 seconds. This takes her 4 hours, but for the first 100, 4 owners called. And on the second 100, another 4 owners called. And all 8 of those people want to sell their home with her this year from 1 home and 200 pieces of mail. Okay. Now there's an easier way to get it out, but I don't think you're going to get those kinds of results. But what I want to just remind you is if you get this list that you purchased from a third party, people with equity, you should be mailing to them, right? You should also go over here to our ads page and create an audience. And there's a blue button here that says create audience. And when I click it, you can name it whatever you want, right? Livermore homeowner. It should have 1,000 leads. Use this format. The spreadsheet has to look like this. It doesn't matter who you buy this spreadsheet from. It's probably going to have 20 or 30 columns of data like bathrooms and this and that. Save it and put it wherever. But when you want to put it in Facebook here, it's got to have those headers and only 4 columns of data. Okay. So what happens is when you upload it, it's uploaded into your private Facebook account. And it will always be there, even if you stop working with us. So this is something that if you intend to be in the industry for, I don't know, more than 2 years or 1 year, you want to develop the farm markets. I would recommend you take advantage of that feature I'm showing you right there and create those custom audiences for your core farm market, because they will live in there and they'll have those names, and you can always use this to target on Facebook as you go forward. And that's an important thing, because when you create an ad like the one we were doing for a landing page, you can literally say, hey, I'm going to do a different one. I'm going to do one here in Orinda. Okay. It's a different town, and I'm just going to create the ad, and I have a different landing page. It's a different town. So it's a different area, right? It looks like I don't know if you can see that. That's the Orinda Theater. That thing's almost 100 years old. And you would think, hey, I'm going to target Orinda. Right. And I'm going to show you why that's not a good idea. If I click that button, that's going to hit a 15-mile radius around Orinda. Now, I don't know where you guys live, but let me show you where Orinda is in reality, in like where this sits. Okay. And Orinda is in the East Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. Right. So this is a dense area. We don't live out in the woods, right? We got a lot of nice parks and stuff and green space, but this little white area right here is Orinda. And this right here is about a 15-mile radius around Orinda. There's only 22,000 people that live in Orinda, but there's probably 1 million people who live in these areas surrounding here that are going to see that ad. And that's why typing in Orinda up here is the wrong answer. If you click retarget current leads where it says custom audience, you might have an audience called Orinda homeowners or Livermore homeowners or whatever the town is, right? Because you went and got that list. And so when you get the list and you upload it to Facebook, Facebook looks at all the names and the email addresses and phone numbers, and they find those people in there. Oh, okay. What this is saying is when you run a $50 ad for 7 days, like we are here, if these people on this list are on Facebook during that week, show it to them. And because you bought that list from whoever, but has X number of years of equity, that is the most powerful thing you can do with Facebook if you want listings. There are other ways to use Facebook to get listings, but that's a good way to go, right? And so you can do that for Orinda, for every one of your towns, right? Every farm market. But like I said, you want to start with one. And then lastly, since you have that list, you can upload it into your CRM, right? Or maybe you get a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, and you then start sending messages to them. And we have, as I showed you earlier, we have an e-flyer that you can copy right here and blast out, right? Just send out to those people. So, okay, this is Orinda homeowner. I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to run an ad this week to them, and I'm going to mail out one of my letters, right? So these people are going to hear from me in their mailbox, in their email, and on Facebook, right? That is a really powerful marketing strategy for you to hit your market like that, right? Now, there's another thing you can do when it comes to Facebook, but Google. So if you have a landing page and you got a farm market like Livermore or Orinda, you can click that there, say that's my Livermore landing page, create ad. And here, now I don't know if any of you have ever run an ad on Google, and my guess is probably none of you have. If more than 2 people on this call ran an ad on Google, I'd be surprised. This is how you do it with our system. You type in the name of the town. And if you want to click here, you don't have to. All you got to do is click publish, and that's it. If you had to go create an ad in Google, it's actually a really ugly process. Okay. I'll show you what it looks like. If you click on advanced options, you have to type in all the keywords that you think are relevant to that landing page. Now we know what's relevant, and so we do it automatically. You have to type in multiple headlines. These headlines are these blue headlines up here, right? And this area I'm highlighting here, this is called the description, and you have to write multiple descriptions. Simple, but you got to write them. And that's it. You don't have to do any of that when you're using our software. You just create the landing page, you put a picture behind it, and you say, hey, Google, I want this to target people that live there. There's a reason why you want to think about Google, and that is it's the #1 website in the country. Okay, 86% of all questions start on this website. And when people ask things like, do I sell my home or whatever, what to sell a home, what are the taxes? You might want to do this search or these kinds of searches on Google and see who's like paying for your area, who's sponsoring ads, right? Are you on page 1 of Google? Because if you're on page 20 of Google, you almost don't even need to be on the internet. It's just not getting you any value. But to be here, an easy way to get there is to run ads on Google, like I'm showing you right here, on the #1 website in the country, right? I will say this, though. I will say this about Google. When you create an ad, and I'm going to do on a PDF guide here now, right? I mentioned earlier that we have 80 PDF guides, right? And 40 of them are for home sellers. So if you want to run something on Google, I would recommend either any of the landing pages that we're creating, one of these PDF guides for homeowners. And so here I could type in Orinda or Livermore, and you can see that it's going to have a link, and that's going to capture the lead and all this and that. But here's the thing about the cost of leads. You remember when I said on Facebook, they are $15 a lead, right? And for that kind of landing page, and here, they're actually more expensive. And depending on where you are in the country, that's what drives it. I think it more has to do with how much competition do you have? Do you have a lot of agents working around you running ads or very few? So I know in Dallas, Texas, we have a team who they have 3 lists of 10,000 homeowners each, and they run ads on Facebook, right? And then they also run ads on Google, just like this. And I asked them the cost of these leads from there, and they said $30 per lead. So I told you 15 on Facebook, but over here it's 30. Why is that? Because it's the #1 website in the country, and that's what they feel like they can charge you. And I said, boy, that's a lot of money. And he said, that's true, but the amount of commission that we earn when we sell a home in Dallas, we're comfortable investing X number of dollars to get that return. So you want to do the math of what do I have to invest to earn the average commission for a home in my area? And you might want to put Google in. You might not want to. In Pennsylvania, this kind of lead for a seller costs $22. Not always, but that's like a data point I know. In Utah, $17. And in Vancouver, British Columbia, up in Canada, these leads cost $200 to $300 US each. I can tell you, new agents don't compete here. They don't compete there. They compete on Facebook, and they use our other tools and other ways until they have enough money to compete on Google, which is where all the newer kinds of buyers are buying. So anyway, so that's our ads page, right? You can create ads on Google, on Facebook. I'm going to go down and talk a little bit more about other ways to get seller leads with Facebook. And that is to run ads on properties that are pending or under contract or sold. And you leave it on lead ads, so those leads are pre-populated with name, email, and phone number. And when you get here, pretty easy. You just publish. You don't really have to target with a custom audience. You could if you want to, but it works without this. When you're doing a landing page ad, specifically talking about an area, that you really need to target the area with a custom audience. Here you could, but you don't have to. The nice thing about ads like these, like pending or under contract or sold, are these leads are cheaper. The cost of these leads is around $7 to $8. So if you divide 7 into 50, that means you're going to get 7 leads instead of the 3 that I mentioned on a landing page ad, right? And so that can be a great way to get more leads per dollar, right? So there's also another way. Just like on Google, you could run ads on our PDF guides, right? And so when I look at the PDF guides, and you know that we've got buyer and seller guides, but we're here to talk about how to get listings. So let's stay focused. There are 40, right? And there are all kinds of topics, right? Here's one: divorce and real estate, right? Okay, lead ad. So I get name, email, and phone number. We are pre-writing the ad. In this case, you do have to type in the name of the town, but it doesn't matter about that custom audience because this message is not really geographic. It's not talking about a city. It's just divorce and real estate. And if the 15-mile radius of Orinda hits 1 million people, so be it. That's fine. What you do need to understand is the cost per lead of this kind of thing, of a PDF guide for sellers. These often cost around $10 each. So if you divide 10 into 50, you're talking about getting 5 leads. Now, I want to take a break here and remind everybody of what we're talking about. What I'm showing you is the ins and outs, how-to of creating and using tools to get leads. But I do want to point out that the conversion rate of leads is typically 1% to 3%. Now, I'm going to show you something over here in our mastermind group from a gentleman just posted a couple of months ago. I also set up a team account with him, right? He's from LPT, and I think he was previously with EXP, and he's got all of these agents. This video to explain to his agents, like, this is what we're doing with the system, okay? Now, he's in Texas, and he's showing people that I can run a sold ad with this. He said, but before he gets into that, he goes, I got to tell you, he said, we ran ads on this property, and we got 114 buyer leads. Okay. So we haven't mentioned running buyer leads. Very easy. But the cost per lead there is about $3 each. So to get 114 leads means he probably had to spend $300 to $350. But the nice thing about that is that they converted 4 of those 114 into buyers. They helped them buy other properties, not just this one, right? So if you're making commission on 4 homes, I'm pretty sure that's going to cover the cost of $350, right? Now, his point of this video, though, is to tell his agents, hey, once a home sold, we flipped it to sold. I ran an ad on this, and they got their first lead. They text, their CRM software texts the lead, right? It doesn't start, they don't start to convert a lead by calling them. I know agents love to do that, but nobody wants to take a call from somebody they don't know. So their platform texts them question back and forth. And then one of the agents picked up the text questions and starts communicating more. By the end of the day, they closed a phone call. And in that phone call, they set a listing appointment for the guy wanted to sell a home and buy another. So sell a home for 400 grand, buy another for 50. And that was from $150 ad, $850,000 of volume. So he's pretty, right? And that's the point there is he's saying, and I asked him, I said, hey, did you do any? I said, wow. I said, yeah. He said, did you modify this? And I know I asked him that. And he said, no. He said, I just did the radius. And he said, no, I didn't do anything else. I just didn't even do a customize. He just ran the ad like I'm showing you here. And that's how effective those things can be, right? Now here, when we're talking about a PDF guide, it's $10. And so what we're going back to is that story with Brian running a $50 ad and getting the very first lead. One, I think they're really good at converting because I know if they converted 4 out of 114, they have a conversion game going, right? But getting the first lead and turning it into 850 in volume, I don't hear that from our clients every week. I definitely hear that my clients are generating a lot of leads. A lot of them are getting lists, certainly getting higher. But the reason why I'm telling you that is if this is a $50 ad and you get 5 leads, you're going to want more leads because if you convert 1, that's 20% conversion, right? And so that would put you way in the above the norm. So you want to have a volume of leads, and you don't have to pay for them all, as I mentioned, but you are going to have to do some investments in print things, and maybe you door knock them, maybe you run ads, maybe you share things free. When you're using ads, you're getting it typically in front of thousands of people, and that's the value of running it. But let's talk about some free things. And I mentioned earlier that they're e-flyers. So if you got that list of homeowners and you've got it inside your CRM, remember when I mentioned there are 80 PDF guides? And right here, there are 40 of them. These are where you run the ads, but there's also an e-flyer for your database. And that means copy that. And this will have links to get people to the landing page, to give you their contact information so they can download this report for free. So you have 40 of these for homeowners. If you've got any volume of leads, you should be probably blasting one of these out at least twice a month or every week. I was talking to somebody last week, and this lady has been in the industry. She's got 10,000 leads. I said, you know what? You need to blast out one of our e-flyers twice a week. That's a lot of people. You don't know where they are in the cycle of real estate right now. Just keep rotating. Mix in your flyers from your listings, mix in these PDF guides. And of course, when we go back to landing pages, I'll just bring us here to remind you, maybe it's over here real quick. When we click on advanced options, the e-flyers are here, right? So that doesn't really cost much unless you're paying some company to do email for you. That's like the free part of it, right? Now I want to go over to listings, because listings has our most powerful tool, and that's the nearby homeowner letter. So when I was showing you the messages from Chris Winstead and Pat Motley, they're using these tools right here. And Pat, she always mails out 100 of these. Every time she has a property just listed, and when it's sold, she flips it to sold and she prints it again. So let's look at this one. If you remember at the beginning of the call, I was showing you that there was a letter that looked like this on the back of the landing page. But this letter is associated to a listing. And so if you've got a farm market and you have listings in that market, this is the best tool you can use, right? Just listed, mail it to people with equity, and that's going to affect your home value. Go get your free home value here. That's really the message, right? And you can see that this is not a really sexy piece of paper, right? It's not a big, heavy read. The way the world is, people make a decision in 3 seconds. I'm going to look, I make a decision, or I'm throwing this thing away. That's why there's not a lot to read here. And our goal is for people to go, oh, I need my home. Yeah, they sold a home. I want my home back, right? This letter is for those people. That's why you're getting a list of people with equity and you're mailing this letter to, right? Now, there are postcards and door hangers right here, right? So you can use that. Now, I want to point out that we have a relationship here with a company called Express Copy. You remember when I showed Pat Motley and I said this lady is handwriting 100 envelopes, and that takes a lot of time, right? But what if you don't have that amount of time, but you want to get this out? You connect to your Express Copy account, and then you can hit print and mail. And let me show you what that does. So Express Copy is a print company. I think it's only here in the US. And they have a database of all homeowners. So you say get mailing list, and you can say, hey, I want this a 1 or 2 mile radius, and I only want it to hit homeowners with more than 6 years equity. That's how long it takes to get 100 pieces out. Now, they do charge $185 for 100 pieces. Nobody has told us that when they mail 100, they're getting four listings, right? Like the Pat Motley story. But I am often hearing that people are getting 1 or 2 listings from that. So that might be really a worthwhile exercise. Don't forget, we've got postcards and door hangers for those homes. There's circle prospecting scripts if you want to do that. Here's the e-flyer for your database about that home, just listed. You click on that picture or those 2 links, you're going to become a buyer lead. Keep scrolling, that affects your home value, and you're going to click here. Now, I want to point something out. When you click that, this landing page, which is your default landing page, is always where it's embedded in the tools all over the place. So I want to make sure that you feel like this looks like your area, because let me show you something. Let me show you. So when I click this link, this is taking us to a single property website, right? And we do this for you automatically as well. It's got the photos, and you see how it's got that picture of that picture is coming from this page. So if that doesn't look like your area, you might want to change that. And you do that by going over here to landing pages. Wait a second here. And all of you have a free home value page right here. And click on edit and tools. You're going to be able to change that background picture right here. You might be living, I don't know, in Maine or Florida or Arizona, and this does not look like any of your neighborhoods. If this doesn't look like your area, click upload image and upload an image that looks like yours. It's going to be flowing through so many of your tools, okay? So definitely make sure you get there. That's on the landing page section and do that. So I covered a lot of ways to capture listings, right? We got PDF guides, we've got landing pages, and we've got listings, and we can use ads. We can use print tools like door hangers and letters, and we can use e-flyers to get those out. I do want to remind you, I think building, if you want to talk about getting listings, this is having a list to market to instead of randomly throwing things out a couple times a year is how you're going to build your business. You want to target those people in print, in email, and on ads. And so getting a good list from these companies like Remine, RedX, even somebody's told me Vulcan 7 and even Coal Resource. Some of you have access to these tools, and it's time to start putting them together because listings are going to become even more competitive. We have all the tools to help you, right? I definitely think that's something that you want to take advantage of. I didn't mention it earlier, but there is a training calendar that we have here. And right now, we're not doing this one. You can go here to our weekly training, and I'm doing these, which are basically twice a week. If you don't have time to join us for a live call like today, we record every call, including this one, and they are all on this channel. I will send this to everybody right now. I highly recommend that you get involved with this page. And I know that agents don't really want to, let's see what happened. That didn't work. Copy. Oh, maybe that's my keyboard. There we go. I'm going to send this to everyone, right? And we just watched top tools for more listing. And I actually do that call every 2 weeks. So I recommend, if you want more listings, that you watch a few of these calls, 2 or 3. Also watch Facebook and Google, because I talk about how I go more in depth on what to do with Facebook and Google. And because you really want to master those platforms and all of the tools that capture more listings for you. Do I have any questions? I don't see any. And that's the end of my story. This platform, I can tell you, I'll share another story. I'll open it up for questions. If you don't have questions, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to show you this guy, Dustin. Man, my keyboard is... Give me a second here. Years ago, I closed this company called Pearson Smith. They're just south of Washington, D.C., operating in Virginia and Maryland. And when they were there, they had 300 agents. And Dustin here was 2 years in the business, a rookie, right? 2 years. And he came in those days and he's, hey, I'm using this nearby homeowner letter. And we mailed a bunch of these to a bunch of homes, and we have 10 listings from that with average commission of $17,000. He spent $625 to get those 2 mailings out. But he's saying this is the highest ROI. So he went from a rookie in 300 to the present day. That company has doubled in size. There are 600 agents, and he is in the top 5 percentile now. And February 1st, he writes his own book and is selling it on Amazon. And we let him put it in here. Hey guys, there's a section in my book about your platform, which is really just an awesome story, right? It's just, that's great. He's been learning, following us, using our tools. And we learned about Dustin with the nearby homeowner. So it's been working. This post is in 2018. It's, what is it now? 2024. And we're still getting awesome results from that letter. I definitely recommend that you utilize it, and you utilize Facebook and Google, and you utilize your e-flyers to engage your farm markets. The market is not getting any easier. So apply it as many ways as you can, hit them from multiple directions, and your business will grow. Everybody, thanks so much for joining me. And this call is being recorded. It will be on this YouTube channel either later today or tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of summer. Bye, everybody.